Hello, everyone. Welcome. Happy Monday. My name is Paul, and I am your host of the Generation Latino podcast. You are listening to season 3, episode 11. Guys, I hope you had a great Easter yesterday. I know for me, I spent it with family. It was fun. I was really, really tired, but outside of that, I really enjoyed it. So I really hope that you enjoyed your Easter. I'm up early this morning and I have my coffee with me and I'm feeling good and I'm excited for the month of April. It's been raining where I've been at. The weather has been kind of off and on. It's hot, it's cold. And I have a CrossFit competition coming up, so I'm really excited about that. That's in May, so it's actually my first CrossFit competition. So I'm excited. I've been doing CrossFit since 2022, about three and a half years. So I'm really excited to actually do something fun and compete. But also, guys, if you are not, follow me on TikTok at Generation Latino Podcast. I have a lot of fun videos over there, so go check me out. That is all I have as far as social media. I got rid of my Instagram. It just was not for me. It wasn't for what I wanted to do, the interactions that I was looking for. So I got rid of that. I'm very active on there, and you get to know and see more about me, my personality. I have fun little clips on there, clips of some episodes, and you just get to, know me a little more. So if you haven't, follow me on there. And also, if you have not subscribed to this podcast on Apple Podcast, Amazon Music, iHeartRadio, or Spotify, please do so. It helps me with my analytics and just figuring out where people are listening from and all of that. So once again, thank you so very much. And yeah, I hope you had a good Easter. I was at my sister's and I ate some pulled pork and some pasta salad. I did not drink anything because I am have that competition coming up. So I'm trying to be really, really strict with myself until then. And yeah, I'm just trying to make sure that I'm being disciplined and whatnot. But yeah, I hope y'all are doing good. And you know, when I was kind of contemplating on what I wanted to talk about on this episode, a lot of, I've been on my TikTok. I've been really in my single era and what dating looks like and all of that. And a hot topic that has always come up is monogamy or non-monogamy. So, in this episode, we dive into one of the most debated topics in modern dating: monogamy versus non-monogamy. Is one partner really enough, or are people starting to challenge traditional relationship norms? So, in today's episode, we're going to break down the differences, the pros and the cons, and the uncomfortable truths about love, commitment, and honesty. Whether you're traditional or open minded, this conversation will make you question what you really want in a relationship. So, and the truth is, guys, like we've been taught that real love means one person forever. But what if that's not the only way to love? And today, as you listen, I really hope you have like an open mind about monogamy, non-monogamy. And as I'm getting older, well, let me start with this. I believe in monogamy. Like personally, I do. But as I'm getting older and we're in a modern day of dating, a modern world of dating, like I'm just being more open-minded to what other people are doing and what works for them. So although it may not be what I'm doing and what I want, I'm still open to like, oh, cool. Like I want to know why that works for you, why non-monogamy works for you, and coming from a non-judgmental mind frame when I was younger, I may have been a little bit more judgmental if people weren't monogamous while dating. So yeah, we're gonna explore this. One of the things I love talking about is dating. As you know, I have several episodes about dating and whatnot, and that's just the season I'm at in my life. And also, too, the episodes about dating do really well. So here you have it. I really hope you enjoy today's episode. Can one person be enough? Hope you enjoy. All right, guys. So I wanted to do something really fun with this episode. And as I've gotten older, like I said earlier, I've been more open to hearing why non monogamy works and why non traditional relationships work. Like I said, for me, I'm a one person type of guy. I love monogamy, but I want to know why non-monogamy works. And I think what really triggered this conversation is that I was having a conversation with one of my friends at the gym, and I hadn't seen her in a while, and then I saw her and I had asked her, "Hey, how are you doing? How are you and your boyfriend?" And she's like, "Oh, like we're no longer together. I'm figuring out like polyamorous, more non-traditional styles of dating." And I was like, "Oh, wow." Like, so it really just kind of caught my attention and it really got me wanting to know kind of more and do more of a deep dive because this friend of mine who I love and adore was really about traditional ways of dating. And I think another thing though too, before we really dive deep into this episode, I think people need to stop being so judgmental when it comes to what works for them. I think people are so quick to judge. They're so quick to be like, no, that's right, that's wrong. Girl, whatever works for you, you do that. Whatever works for someone else, let them do that. Yesterday, it was Easter. Everybody was like all about, the resurrection and he's risen and going to church and, posting all of these scriptures from the Bible and Proverbs and all of this stuff. And I thought to myself, you know, I hope those people who are posting all these things who are going to go watch the passion and crying and bawling, like I hope that when they leave that moment or when they're done with that moment that they're actually treating people with kindness and non-judgmental eyes because I am so sick and tired of people just being so judgmental. Judgmental. I was asked the other day, I don't believe in organized religion. That's just me. But I was at a gathering the other day and somebody was like, have you been converted to Catholicism? And I'm like, no, I don't wanna be Catholic, and no disrespect, but that's just not me. I don't believe in organized religion. I believe in spirituality. I believe in treating people kind, with respect. I believe in God. I believe in the power of God, but I do not believe in organized religion. That's just my opinion. But this person was like, oh, well, basically saying that I needed to be attached to a church. No, thank you. I do not want to be attached to any church. The church that I attach myself to is between me and God. But anyways, so we're gonna keep it simple, right? So, first of all, what is the definition of monogamy, right? Sometimes people are like, "What's monogamy?" And it's funny, even with like grown adults, I've asked them like, "Oh, do you believe in monogamy?" And they're like, "What's that?" So I think people don't even know what monogamy is, but monogamy is one partner exclusivity, emotionally and physically. That's my style. And non-monogamy is multiple partners with consent, right? Meaning like you're both getting each other's permission to step outside of the relationship. So those are like open relationships, polyamorous relationships, and things like that. So this is the thing though, non-monogamy isn't just cheating with permission. It's structured, it's communicated and agreed upon at least when it's done right. And that's what really fascinates me about non-monogamy is that there's a lot of rules that you have to follow. And I can see how that works for people who cannot be committed to one person, but still want that stability of structure, right? So I get why people want that. Like I know many people in my personal life, specifically men who cannot be with one person. So they're like cheating or they're being unfaithful. So I think there's a lot of people that can fit the category of non-monogamy because at least a partner knows what you are doing. And I think if you're going to be with someone and share a life with someone, I think it's very important that you are open and transparent with them. So, I guess the first question is this: why do people choose monogamy? And for me, as progressive as I am, I do like the idea of one-on-one interaction, whether it's intimately, physically, emotionally. But a lot of people do it for stability, emotional security, A big one that I think is the major influence is cultural and religious influence. And I think a lot of people feel pressure to be in monogamous relationships when it doesn't work well for them. So for me, I believe in the stability of one on one. And a lot of people don't choose monogamy, they default to it. The question is, are we choosing it or are we confined into it? That's my big thing because I've talked to people and I'm like, hey, like, you should not be in a monogamous relationship. And they're like, well, like, we have a kid together and we this. I'm like, yeah, but you're cheating on your wife. Like, you are cheating on your wife. What I'm gonna do is be a little bit more harder on you if you're cheating on your wife versus, hey, we have an open relationship, but like your wife doesn't know you're cheating on her. You know what I'm saying? And that's where I get why people choose non-monogamy because at least you're being honest and transparent. So why do people choose non-monogamy? I think there's several reasons. I used to think, oh, they're choosing non-monogamy because they can't commit and they don't want to do this. And I used to come from a very judgmental frame when it came to non-monogamy. And like I said, I believe in monogamy, but I'm trying to be more open-minded to why people are non-monogamous. And I'm gonna be honest with you guys, in the gay world, there are so many people that I've met that are non-monogamous. And it works for them. It really works for them because there's such clear boundaries between whether it's a throuple, whether it is uh, whatever the case may be, there's clear boundaries. But I think people choose non-monogamy because of freedom. I think exploration, and not relying on one person for anything. Like I said, the biggest reason for me is honesty versus cheating culture. We live in a society where people just cheat and they lie to their partners where I think it would be a lot healthier and open-minded if you were just honest with your partner. And there's other reasons like desire for variety and whatnot. So, as I gotten older and I am starting to really have a wide variety of an open mind, I'm being more understanding of why people choose non-monogamy, open relationships, and whatnot. And again, I'm very traditional, but who knows? Who knows? Maybe when I'm in my 40s, I'm like, oh, maybe non-monogamy or a polyamorous relationship would work for me, but I highly doubt that. Again, I've been married, I'm divorced, and I really like that one-on-one connection. But some people would rather be honest about wanting multiple partners than lie and cheat in a monogamous relationship. And that's true. That is very true. I appreciate honesty. And as I've been dating and, I've been on dating apps and trying to, meet the right person and trying to get to know people more. And I'm like, wow, like, not everyone dates the way that you date or thinks the way that you think, and that's okay. It's not that they're doing anything right or wrong. It's just that y'all are different. Y'all are not the same. So, like I said, I was really fascinated by my friend who brought up this topic. And I come from a Latino household, so we come from a very traditional way of doing things. Like, it is very traditional. You have your Catholic church, you have your communion, catechism, and everything is just so, I hate to use this word, but it's so old school and non-progressive. And for me, I think that you just can't think one way. You can. You cannot think one way, and whatever works for you works for you. But here are the pros and cons after doing some research of monogamy and non-monogamy, and it's kind of like a debate segment. But I'm curious to what you think. Like I said, a couple years ago, I was a little bit more judgmental and thinking that non-monogamy could never work. But as I've gotten older, again, divorced, married, been through it all and everything. Now I'm like, hmm. I cannot be so judgmental anymore. And I think when you are in a monogamous relationship, you have to work a little harder to build that emotional bond because it is just you two. There's no default. There's no out. There's no, oh, I can get it from someone else. It's like literally you and that partner, and you both have to really figure it out and do a lot of work to make that happen. I also think too, some monogamy pros are less jealousy. I always talk to people when I ask them, "Hey, could you ever like, be in a throuple or be with have another person?" They're like, "Oh no, I'm jealous. I could never." Yada yada. I was talking to an older lady at work, a real sweet lady, and I had asked her if she would ever. She was one of the ladies that I asked her, does she believe in non-monogamy? And she's like, "What's that?" I was like, "Oh, it's when you have like another partner." She was like, "Oh fuck no, I'm jealous. I don't want no one on my man." So there's those people who don't want to see their partner with anyone else. So I'm one of those people, just not that aggressive. So here are some cons to monogamy. And as I was doing my research and looking at videos and seeing why things work and why they don't work, I think a couple of the monogamy cons are pressure on one person to be everything. And I say everything in all caps because I think that's where people feel that their relationships don't work, or why there's so many issues and troubles, because you feel that you have to do everything, everything in that relationship, everything. And even when I was married, I felt so much pressure. Like, God, how can I be everything? How can I be the perfect husband, the perfect cook, the perfect sexual partner, the perfect emotional partner, the perfect everything? That is hard. To be the perfect everything is really hard. And that could be a lot of pressure on someone. So I can see why monogamy isn't for everyone. But and I think too, a con is temptation and boredom over time. I think this is where you really have to spice things up. I think this is where you really got to be creative, because from someone who's been in a long-term relationship, who's been married, temptation does cross your mind. And guys, temptation doesn't mean really a bad thing. I mean, we're human, right? So people are like, no, I can't think bad. They're your thoughts, they're not your actions. So it's okay to think something, but not act on it. So yeah, I think temptation and boredom over time can happen. But I think that's why you got to have active communication. I think that's why you got to be transparent with your partner. You have to, guys, because if not, you will get bored. And I know for me, in my last serious relationship, I was always wanting to just spice things up, if you will, or really trying to do things different and not so traditional, and just be like, hey, what can we do to make things exciting? Go on trips, go travel somewhere, and go on a plane somewhere and go. I'm not saying go do it on a plane, but you know what I mean. I mean, seriously, like, just do things differently. Just go out for ice cream on a random Tuesday. I think a lot of times with monogamy, things get very repetitive, very boring, very fast, but don't allow that to happen. All right, so what are some non-monogamy pros? I think these are very obvious, but you have freedom and autonomy. You also have less secrecy. You can share, and if you're able to share your intimate life openly, then you can really share anything, if you ask me. So those are the pros. I do believe that these non-monogamy cons are very heavy. I think the first one is jealousy. I think that unless you're very secure, and unless you're very secure in who you are, if you're in a non-monogamous relationship, it could really get bad quickly. Jealousy can really be a thing, and I think that that's not for everyone. And it requires such a high emotional intelligence. It may seem fun and dandy and, ooh, we're going to have partners. Ooh, and I'll give you a story real quick. I used to work with someone, and her husband, they were trying things in the bedroom, right? They were trying to polyamorous relationship, so they brought another woman in, Well, it turns out the husband fell in love with the woman and they became a thing, and then they kicked out my colleague, my coworker. They kicked her out of the relationship, and then she was getting divorced, and then she was talking to me about how heartbroken it was, how she was, and how mad she was, and I was like, "Girl, how in the world?" Like, and again, it happens, but she was telling me that they started connecting with each other more, and then she kinda got kicked out of that loop, and again, that's a lot to deal with, and you really got like I said, you really have to have a high emotional intelligence to be able to get through that. Because for me, I'll be like, no, you're not gonna leave me out of here. Absolutely not. We're the 3 musketeers, not 2. So, this is why I can't do it. Again, I'm not judging, but this is why I cannot do it, and it's for that exact reason. And the last one is it's not for insecure or unclear people. Like, you have to know exactly who you are. You have to be like Samantha Jones, from Sex and the City. You have to be someone who really knows who they are if you want this to work, because I am telling you right now, it may sound fine and dandy, and you may be like, "Ooh, honey, let's get another person in here." But then that minute, maybe someone clicks more than y'all and it doesn't work out. No, no, I'm not gonna be left out of that. So, which is why I rather not be in it. But this is but no, that's just, it's really hard. So let's be honest. Most people aren't ready for non-monogamy, not because it doesn't work, but because they lack communication, discipline, and emotional maturity. Like I said, when I was younger, I was a little bit judgmental towards non-monogamy. As I've gotten older and I've gotten better at my communication skills and better at my emotional maturity, I understand why it works for people. And at the same time, a lot of people are failing at monogamy too, such as cheating, lying, settling. So, is that really working either? So, if you really, with an open mind, with your emotional maturity, your emotional intellect, what is right? What is wrong? Although we were raised to know that monogamy is the only way, I believe that monogamy and non-monogamy both work, but it depends on the person and what they want, because it's true. I don't think one is just the right answer. I think it's catered and tailored to the person. So, I have a couple questions for you all, and we'll answer them together. Can you truly love more than one person at the same time? I don't know. I've never loved more than one person at the same time, but I believe that you can. But if you're listening out there, have you ever loved one person more than one person? Have you ever been in love with more than one person at the same time? And another question is jealousy natural or something we've been taught? This is one that I think a lot of people, and I'll speak for myself too, really struggle with jealousy. I think that I think it's natural. I don't know if it's something that I've been taught personally. Maybe you have, but I don't remember being ever jealous. And then there's been times when I've seen like somebody flirting with the guy that I'm with, or somebody flirting with someone that have been with, and I'm like, oh, I hate the feeling of jealousy. I hate it, but it pops up. It creeps up on all of us. As much as I love the dating phase of a relationship, like the early stages, if there's not clear communication, like, you can talk to whoever you want. And that's hard for me sometimes because I want more of an exclusive dating than just openly dating to anyone. But that's just me. Another question, are people cheating because monogamy doesn't work for them? I want to say yes. I think that's why people are cheating. I think people are cheating because they want options. I think people are cheating also too. They're unhappy and again, they're bored. I think if you were to ask me why people cheat, I think it's from boredom. I do. I don't think it's just, oh, I fell out of love with him and then I want to cheat. I think people are bored, and which is why you really got to make the relationship, spicy and adventurous and whatnot. Last question. Would you rather be in an honest, open relationship or a dishonest, monogamous one? Okay. As much as I love monogamy, I would not want to be in a dishonest, monogamous one relationship. I just wouldn't want to. So if I had to choose between these two questions, I would rather be in an honest, open relationship. But what about you? What about you? Do you feel like you would rather be in an a dishonest monogamous relationship, which is more perception based, right? A lot of people are like, "Oh, it doesn't matter as long as everyone thinks we look good together or thinks that we look happy." No, I'm not doing that. I'm too old. I'm in my 30s. I am not going to be hoping that people think that we look good. Absolutely not. I'd rather be with multiple partners, honest, open, and that's just me. But what about y'all? And what do y'all think about monogamy, non-monogamy? And again, I know I have a lot of friends who are older or younger, and there's a lot of debate about this topic, but I think, and the reason I wanted to talk about this is because I think it's just it opens up your palate to a mature conversation about non-traditional things. And again, I'm gay, I'm queer, I'm Latino, I'm a lot of non-traditional things. So I want to have topics about non-traditional stuff. And it doesn't have to be disrespectful, it doesn't have to be mean, it doesn't have to be anything that is, you know, absurd or out of this world, but I'm like, "You know what? I wanna talk about this, and I'm going to talk about this because I can." So anyways, yeah, what are y'all's thoughts? At the end of the day, it's not about which one is better, it's about what's honest. Monogamy works for some, non-monogamy works for others, but what doesn't work is lying to yourself or your partner about what you really want. So, as you know, I'm single in my dating era. So, yeah, if you're listening and you're single, or even if you're in a relationship and you're listening, like, have you ever thought about either of them? Like, what works for you? Are you in a relationship where you're in a monogamous relationship and you're like, man, maybe non monogamy will work, or vice versa? Maybe you're in a non monogamous relationship and you're like, man, maybe no monogamy is gonna be for me. So, really think about it, guys. And again, I just want to thank y'all for tuning in and hanging with me on these conversations that we're having. And again, there's no right or wrong topic to talk about, as I've been exploring my life in romance and love and career and all of that. I just really want to just be able to talk about whatever I want to talk about. And things that I feel would, be either entertaining, they can be a lesson learned or something that just opens your mindset to something. Because again, I've come across so many people who are so close-minded, guys. I mean, who see things only one way. And as I get older and I embrace just everything that's happening in the world, I really want to be open-minded. And I hope you can also be open-minded. But I want to thank you again for tuning in. Once again, I hope you had a great Easter. I hope you have a great, beautiful week. And again, if you haven't, follow me on TikTok, that Generation Latino podcast. Make sure you are subscribed to me on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, or Amazon Music. But make sure you tuned in. Once again, I hope you have a beautiful week, and I will see you on the next episode. Love you guys.